Well, good evening. It is a cold Thursday night, and I hope y'all have stayed warm today. I do want to mention that we looks like we may have some more cold weather coming up over the weekend. I noticed locally that they're saying in some parts of Alabama we may get some snow. Now I don't know how much of that may stick, if we get any at all. But they are mentioning real cold temperatures Saturday night and on up into the morning Sunday. I think it's the last thing I saw. So just want to caution y'all to be careful. Make sure you keep an eye on whatever weather station you follow, and just make sure that you're careful and that you've got a way to stay warm. And if you know of people who may not have a way to stay warm, please do what you can to help them. It might be invite them over or help provide them with blankets or heat or something. I don't know how bad this is going to be, but it looks like it could be fairly bad. And I don't want anybody to suffer. So just take care of your friends and neighbors. We can all do a little bit, and then maybe we can get everybody taken care of. So with that, I'm going to read Genesis chapter 21, and it starts off the birth of Isaac. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had promised. And Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the time of which God had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore him, Isaac. Now you'll notice that it specifically says that Sarah bore him, because he had another son with Hagar, and that son's name was Ishmael. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him, and Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh over me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. And then the next section is titled, God protects Hagar and Ishmael. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. But Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, laughing. So she said to Abraham, cast out this slave woman with her son, for the son of this slave woman shall not be heir with my son Isaac. Now she's pretty bitter for somebody that started that, she's the one that came up with that idea. But now she's rethinking things. I wonder if maybe she thought that she would get the child and they would get rid of Hagar. I don't know what the procedure would have been for that back in the day, but things did not go like she planned for them to go. And the thing was very displeasing to Abraham on account of his son. But God said to Abraham, be not displeased because of the boy and because of your slave woman. Whatever Sarah says to you, do as she tells you. For through Isaac shall your offspring be named. And I will make a nation of the son of the slave woman also, because he is your offspring. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, along with the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water of the skin was gone, she put the child under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat down opposite him, a good way off, about the distance of a bow shot. For she said, let me not look on the death of the child. And as she sat opposite him, she lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the boy, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Up, lift up the boy and hold him fast with your hand, for I will make him into a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. And God was with the boy, and he grew up. He lived in the wilderness and became an expert with the bow. He lived in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. And then the last section is titled A Treaty with Abimelech. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, God is with you in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me here by God that you will not deal falsely with me or with my descendants or with my posterity, but as I have dealt kindly with you, so you will deal with me and with the land where you have sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. When Abraham reproved Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized, Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, and I have not heard of it until today. So Abraham took the sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two men made a covenant. Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock apart, and Abimelech said to Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs that you have set apart? He said, these 7 ewe lambs you will take from my hand, that this may be a witness for me that I dug this well. Therefore that place was called Beersheba. Now if you remember up here, that's where Hagar went. She went towards Beersheba. Then Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, rose up and returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned many days in the land of the Philistines. I was going to look back over here. And we know that the word sojourn means it's like people who are traveling, but they stop for a while. They're not stopping there because that's where they're going to live. It's just like a long visit. On their way to somewhere else. But if they sojourn, that means they made camp and stayed. So anyway, that's chapter 21. The chapters in Genesis are kind of short so far. There may get to be some longer ones. It's hard for me to remember which ones are which. But anyway, I just want to thank y'all again for joining me as we read this together. And I want to remind you also that if you will look at my Facebook page, I've got a post. A post pinned to the top. This got a lot of Bible study tools, things that I use, websites that I have found helpful. There are a few YouTube channels that I have found helpful. And of course, if you've got some you would be willing to share with me, let me know and I'll put them on there. We all need to be studying more. The small group that one of the small groups that I'm in, we're going to be starting a study called If Nothing Happens. I'll show you the book. It's called The Power of the Holy Spirit's Names, and it's by Tony Evans. I want to make sure it focuses good. And we're starting that in a couple of weeks. And we would love to have you come join us if you would like to. Let me know and I'll send you the link for the workbook. I think it was like $8.70. And there may be a digital version of it. I don't mind having books in digital form, but if I'm going to do a workbook, I like to have it in printed form. First of all, so I can write in it and take notes and do things, but then I can keep it for later, so if I want to look back on it. So anyway, thank y'all for joining me tonight. Y'all stay warm, I was telling somebody the other day, they were saying, I hope you stay warm. And I said, listen, my dogs sleep with me, and they each have a spot on the bed that they know they're supposed to get, and we all get under the covers. And so I have my own I have my own heat sources right there, because they are warm and they don't mind sharing it with me. And I know there are some people that don't like having dogs on the bed. That's okay. It's not your dogs and not your bed. I don't mind, because I change my sheets regular and my dogs are clean. So anyway, thank y'all for joining me, and we will see you tomorrow night.